Hi everybody, welcome back to Kencherstown Kitchen. I'm Jason. As promised, we're gonna do a vegan chocolate easy cake for you tonight. There's something comforting about baking. We all want a treat once in a while. We're trying to keep our recipes as healthy and easy as we can for you, given that we have limited ingredients that we can get under coronavirus. But tonight we're gonna do a cake which is based on using almond milk. You need a little bit of vinegar, some cocoa powder. It can be organic, it can be raw, it can be non-raw cocoa powder. I'm using as a mix of gluten flour. I find quinoa flour works really well for baking, mixed with white gluten-free flour. But any mixture of flours that are gluten-free can work very well. We've got applesauce in the cake, which cuts down the sugar and adds to moistness. Coconut oil, some strongly brewed coffee. We've used Crew Cafe from our friend Vodil at Crew Cafe. Some vanilla extract, and instead of sugar, I use a palm sugar, coconut sugar, which has a lower glycemic index than regular sugar. And I always cut the sugar back on recipes. And this is gonna be our cake base, and then we're gonna do a simulated buttercream frosting. So for the cake shape, I use a square 8-inch brownie pan or cake pan instead of layers. You can bake this in 2 8-inch layers, or you could bake it in a sheet, a rectangle pan. This I've just buttered with coconut butter, using a paper towel, rub some in, or your fingers, and then I dust it with cocoa powder, shake it out. I like to prepare my pan first so it's ready to go into the oven. So into the bowl, I'm gonna add 1.5 cups of almond milk. You can use oat milk, you can use a mixture of milks, nut milk, seed milk, whatever you've got on hand. And then you're gonna add apple cider vinegar or white vinegar. I add about 2 teaspoons and let that sit a minute. And I'm gonna add about 1.25 cups of organic applesauce, unsweetened, into that. And this is gonna be your wet base for the cake. I'm gonna do about 1/2 cup of strongly brewed coffee. This cake has no eggs and it has no vegan eggs. So vegan eggs are often made with flaxseed. The cake really doesn't need it. And then 2/3 of coconut oil. This is firm coconut oil that I just put in the microwave to soften, liquefy. So 2/3 of the coconut oil. If you have liquid oil, you can use avocado oil, you can use a mixture of oils that you like, healthy vegetable oil. That's gonna go in there. And then I like to use nice quality vanilla extract. And I'm gonna do about two teaspoons, you can do a tablespoon, a little extra vanilla. And that's our wet ingredient. So I'm just gonna whisk that up nicely, blend that up using a wire whisk. You can use an electric mixer, whatever. It's a really easy cake. Okay, so now that that's nicely blended, we're gonna go to our dry ingredients. So we have our wet ingredients in one bowl, and now we're gonna do our dry ingredients in a separate bowl. So to this bowl, I'm gonna add about 2/3 of a cup of sugar. Again, I like to use coconut sugar. You can use granulated sugar, cane sugar. 1 cup of cocoa powder. You can use raw cocoa powder. I'm using organic, regular cocoa powder. So a good cup. And then I'm going to add 1/4 of a teaspoon approximately of salt. And I'm gonna mix my flours between the quinoa flour and the white flour. Both are gluten-free. So 1 cup of quinoa flour, and these can be generous cups. So here's the quinoa flour. And finally, we're gonna add 2 teaspoons of baking soda and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. This is a great recipe for kids because it doesn't use a lot of machinery or equipment. You could actually do it in one bowl and it's fun. And parents don't need to worry about electric beaters or mix masters or any of that stuff. So I don't sift. You can sift if you're a very fanatical baker. So I put all the dry ingredients in a bowl. I do like to sort of whisk it together to mix in the salt, baking soda, baking powder, cocoa powder, all together. So just to recap, in here you've got your baking soda, baking powder, gluten-free flours, cocoa powder, sugar, and some salt. Okay, so that's nicely blended, and I'm going to whisk this into my wet ingredients. Sort of making sure you don't want it lumpy. You also don't want to overbeat it. You just want to incorporate it. Okay, and smells great. And it looks like chocolate cake batter. So once I'm sure this is mixed and there's no big lumps, it's gonna go into my prepared pan. Okay. Okay, so that's now in our pan. I just want to level that off. And we've preheated the oven to about 180 to 350. Just want to smooth that nicely. And that's going to go in the oven for about 25-30 minutes. And we're going to test that with a toothpick until it comes out clean. And then we will be back, as soon as the cake is done, we will be back to do our buttercream vegan icing.